Painter Christopher Thunder here from the World's Dirtiest Workshop. I am back with my stained shelves. Now this is in preparation to paint something expensive, such as cabinets. What I've done is I've taken this 60-year-old stained wood, 60 years old, with stain on it, and I primered it with some Zinsser primer. Now, the surface is kind of wavy. Okay, so you can see that that has that oceany effect from the 1,000-foot airplane when you're looking down. That's what that looks like. So you're going to get that with a primer. The primer is just going to have that effect when you roll it on. Okay, that's what I'm doing, is I'm rolling it on. You can brush it on, and what you'll get is you'll get a streaky effect. So what you want to do is brush on the primer in long strokes from edge to edge. That way you don't have any brush marks in the middle. Remember, this whole video is for beginners, new people. Roller from end to end on all of your shelf pieces. Always do something small before you do something expensive, because if you try to paint the cabinets in a kitchen, like my wife did, she's a great person, very brilliant, but you know, she trusted somebody on the product she got and it looked great, and nope, wrong product, right? So wrong thing, wrong paint, wrong type, wrong everything. So yeah, be careful with trust when you go out to a home improvement store and you ask for advice. They're getting better, but they're not up to snuff. Me, I have experience with all these products, and you know, I'm pretty happy with that. Every one of these products will work here, including this one, and this one. Now, what makes all these work? Okay, well, this is Behr and Glidden and a few others. Semi-gloss, eggshell, or better. Usually you want a semi-gloss on the label. It might be a flatter gloss or it might be a glossier gloss. I don't like the glossier glosses. They tend to look ugly. I like the flatter semi-glosses, and they're tough. I mean, animal tough. We have cats that jump up on shelves near windows. My cats, they barf on the shelf. I want to be able to wipe that off, and I don't want to have claw marks on the shelf. So I'm going to stick with a semi-gloss with a flatter appearance. Now, this is a flat paint. This is Behr's Marquee paint. It's a damn good paint. So I'm going to give you a better look at that, okay? Now, this is probably the best, see, I'm in shot now. This is probably the best flat paint I would use on a shelf. You can see that that's pretty tough. That's a tough paint right there. I'm trying to get that in shot. So while I'm talking, that is a tough paint. The way you know a paint is tough is you leave it on a can for a while and you peel it off and that's a tough paint. Okay, that's not, you know, just a cheap flat paint. This is a high grade paint. So would I use this on a shelf? Only in a pinch, if I got a lot of it and I want to use it up. But no. This is more like a flat paint, and I don't want to use that. Even though it is one of Behr's best paints. So for shelves, no. Expensive, yeah. Shelves and cabinets, even if they're Behr and you're painting from a Behr paint, like Behr wood, not B-A-H-R, but B-A-R-E, Behr, okay? So even with Behr wood, you don't want to use Behr, B-E-H-R paints unless it's a semi-gloss. Okay, so now, back to this. So this would be barely good enough, B-E-H-R, barely good enough to work for a shelf. But I have other paints that work pretty good, and I have other ways of applying them. Okay, so here we go. I have primer on these shelves, okay, Remember I said there's a number of ways you can prepare a shelf for paint. Let's start with the middle one. Okay, so 400 grit right here. All I'm going to do is just kind of clean up the surface a little bit. That's going to create a little dust, okay? I'm not going to grind into the surface with this sandpaper. That's not the goal. You don't want to leave a mark. You just want to smooth it out. So, you can see here I still have the wavy pattern, but it's not as pronounced. So, you're cutting down the wavy pattern with a 400 grit. That's all you're doing is knocking down some of that, whoops, just dropped it, some of that surface that you don't like the texture of or whatever. You just want to clean it up. Now, if I come at this with a paintbrush, I can change the way that this surface looks, even though it's been rolled on. What do you say we do that? What do you say I change it around? So I rolled it on. Now I'm going to come back at it with a paintbrush and see if I can change the way that it looks. We're going to do this probably in one shot. So I'm going to try not to edit this out. All right. So here's a cheap brush, not very expensive. It's not a $6 brush, it's a $3 brush. This can make a difference. If you use a $6 or an $8 brush, you're going to get a better result. Now what I can do is I can brush off the surface. Now I wiped it with my hand, but that's not really good enough. You want to brush that off with a brush. I got some decent pants on today. Boy, I'm going to make a mess, aren't I? Okay. Now, I have a semi-gloss here. This is a semi-gloss as well. This is a flatter one. It's a water-based paint. This one is an oil-based paint. And I can use those, and you've seen how they look before in another video. Let's try exterior satin enamel in purple. Oh boy. Oh yeah. This is going to get good. Unfortunately, I think I left the can opener in the garage. So I'm just going to shake this out and I'm going to come back and open it for you. Leave the video run. Okay, we're back. So here's the product. So the product is not so terribly important. What is important is that it's an exterior or a tougher product. So, we got all these products. What am I going to do? Stick with exterior if you're painting a shelf. Try not to get too crazy on what the product is or how it functions or how it adheres. The important thing is you prepared the surface correctly. Sanded it, you primered it, you sanded that, right? And then you brushed it clean with your brush. And now you're going to open up this old can of paint, which might require a jackhammer to open, right? Okay. So how are we going to open this? Well, let's see. I'm going to take this and put this aside. Put this down. Two tools, not one, but two, on the same side of the can. Not just one tool, but two. Why? You want to preserve the can. Now I've had people, oh, I can do that with one. Oh, well, that's great. But if you're going to open these 100 times and store them for 10 years, you want that lid to seal back down. And that's kind of important if you want to preserve your products. This one, the can got so beaten up that I had to replace the can. This is Behr Premium Plus Ultra Paint Primer, green bath paint. So this is my green bathroom, my wife's bathroom. I know it because it's got a label on it. It's my wife's bathroom paint. But I'm going to be using this one with a loose lid on it right now. I'm not going to shake it because it'll get paint everywhere. But what I can do is I can pull the lid open. You can see that lid is stuck, right? Now I'm going to take some of that paint in my fingers here and bring it to you. This is a semi-gloss paint with a semi-gloss finish. Now, you saw me with the pink paint and you saw how that broke when I pulled on it. Look at the stretchiness of that paint. Oh my God, that is like a rubber band, right? That's going to be tough. Strangely, I have this paint over there painting this planter that's exposed to the sun and rain all the time. It's been out there for 3 years now. And any other paint, that planter would have disintegrated by now. And it's not. It's it's still out there and it's still got a cactus in it, and it's okay. We got to replace the cactus though. Cactus is not doing so good. But the planter's still there and it's tough. You know, it's not going to rot. So now that is the difference between a regular paint, like a flat paint, and a semi-gloss, tougher paint, right? You want to get the stretchiness in it. Now, we're going to come back to the surface that I prepared. Okay. And I'm going to put a different shirt on because this is a nice shirt and I don't want to get paint on this shirt. So I'll be right back.